Welcome to Black Tie Optional. I'm Sydney.
I'm Colleen.
Let's get into it.
I think that's just a lot of my heart behind the whole community thing. I've been around people and experienced people who gatekeep and who are very selfish with their knowledge and who are ugly about it. And I don't want to be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Heck yeah, I'll share it. But you're not going to force me to do that. I'm out. Peace out.
I'm with you.
No, thank you. I
you.
don't have time to have a second job just keeping up with your feelings.
Yes.
So today we have the amazing Sarah Caldwell with us. Woo woo.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, so
Are you kidding?
I know. Seriously, we're honored. Are
I
you?
know.
Are you kidding? So I guess let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I grew up in Rosebud, Arkansas. For the people who are not familiar with Arkansas, it's very, very small. Population is like under 500, so I call it a cow town.
Yes.
Because there are more cows in town than there are people.
Yes.
So very small town. I believe we are fourth generation on our family farm. So that comes through my work a lot. I grew up showing livestock and in FFA, so I actually went to college to be an ag teacher.
I love it.
And I picked up photography while I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm now married to a team roper, and a lot of my work has to do with horses in the Western industry, and that just is part of my identity. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
So when you picked up your camera in college, like what started that?
Well, my dad actually got me a camera for Christmas in 2011.
Okay.
But at that time, I was an officer in FFA, and I was doing a lot of church things in the summer and doing a lot of traveling. It was just really busy. So basically, I had a lot of things on my mind besides photography.
Okay.
Like, it was cool, and I had my little Canon T4i
Yes.
little point shoot, basically. And I would take pictures of our dogs and bugs, like grasshoppers and flowers and all the basic things that we do whenever we are just getting introduced. So I didn't really do much with it until I was becoming a senior, and I took maybe 2 senior sessions of my friends that I was graduating with. So
you actually graduated college then?
Yes.
You didn't
Yes.
Okay.
Whenever I was graduating high school in 2014, I took their senior pictures.
Oh, okay.
And then in college, I was one of the officers for the ag club at ASUBB.
Okay.
And whenever we would have events and things, I would bring my little camera and
You were
take pictures.
designated.
I was. Yes. And I would take my camera to the farm because they had some Hereford cattle out there that were cute.
Yeah.
They're the red ones with the white faces, and they're all cute and stuff. So I would play with it a little. But it wasn't until I got into my 3rd year of college when I transferred to the U of A.
Okay.
And I was doing ag education with a minor in communications. And for one of my ag communications classes, I had to have an internship. I had just aged out of being able to show at the livestock shows, which I had been doing since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
So during the county fair happens in September, state fair is in October. So during the county fair in September, my entire family, all my friends were at the fair, and I was sitting in class. I was so sad. I hated it. So then whenever it came to time for state fair, the photography company that was shooting the livestock shows at the state fair was taking interns. So that was my in to get back to the fair, back to the show ring, all of those things. And it's so funny. To this day, I still work with the lady that I mentored under. Okay. And it was from her that I purchased my first ever professional grade camera. It was a Canon 7D, and I got a Tamron 70-200 with it.
Right.
So I showed up with my little T4i at this internship.
Cute.
I was all excited, and they were like, "Oh no, honey, you'll use this one." So that was October of 2017. Okay. And then for Christmas, I purchased that gear from her that I had used at the internship. Oh, cool. So that was December 2017 that I got my first big girl camera.
I gotcha.
And then in 2018, I started really picking up and doing a lot more stuff.
Okay, cool.
That's interesting.
So, like, how long had you been doing photography before you photographed, like, your first wedding?
Well, with that lady that I interned with, she's from Oklahoma,
Okay.
and she had a wedding in May of 2018 that I was her second shooter for. That was my
Okay.
first wedding ever.
Okay.
Had never done anything like that up to that point. So I got to be her second shooter in May of 2018. I shot my first solo wedding for a family friend October of 2018.
Okay.
And then second shot for her again November of 2018. So it was like the fall of 2018 was like the start.
Okay.
But up until then, I had done some other shoots like senior sessions and family and things like that. But wedding wise, it was May 2018 that was like the first ever.
So were you nervous going from like shooting cute animals, livestock to like, wow.
It was a lot more pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot more pressure. And I had to be a lot more, I guess, familiar with knowing what to do. Because like you don't direct animals.
Right.
You don't have to like talk to them.
Yes.
So, which I didn't have any issue being a
Right.
person that talks.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. But I think it was really, really good to be a second shooter and not be the one in charge for like
Yes.
the first
Right.
couple times as I was learning. And it just got easier and I got more comfortable. And yeah, here we are.
I love it.
Yeah.
So aside from like weddings,
Mm-hmm.
what part of like photo video would you say that you like love so much?
Well, video wise, I really only do anything that has to do with horses.
Okay.
I think I've videoed maybe one wedding for a friend years ago, and I didn't love it just because I didn't know as much in terms of the editing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the shooting of the day and like composing everything in my mind and having all of that pictured. But whenever it came to editing, I was very novice. I'm very YouTube University taught.
Same.
I think we can all agree, right?
Yes. So I didn't really ever learn anything from anybody whenever it came to video, but I really enjoy doing like stuff with horses. So whenever my husband is like roping at the house or at rodeos or things like that, that's like my bread and butter. That's really fun to
I
video.
can see it too.
Oh yeah.
Just because
And I've
it's
done
so,
a bunch of them, but
just so it's so action packed. You know what
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean?
Well, you're always on your toes because you don't know, like you said, you don't know what the animal's going to do. Like
Right.
you're going
Exactly.
with the animal.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
So it's
love it.
really cool. I really enjoy in terms of video, really enjoy the like rodeo, Western things. And then for photo as well. I
Right.
really enjoy that kind of stuff. Basically anything to do with livestock. It could be cattle or horses. That's like my jam.
I love it. So with Western being like, I would say your niche,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you find yourself getting mainly weddings that are like Western weddings, or do you have people that are kind of outside that spectrum too?
I definitely have both. I feel like in the last couple years, I've definitely promoted myself to be very heavily Western influenced.
Right.
So that kind of helps those people come to me, which is cool because I just love to see cowboy hats in the wedding, just at the guests or the groomsmen all in cowboy hats. Like that's my jam. That's where my heart is.
I was going to say like your whole life. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to feel familiar, you know,
Yes.
and like comfortable. And
Well,
Absolutely.
And good thing that you kind of married your husband's
Yeah.
the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
I have had people who are outside of that spectrum who maybe have a lot more, like with the Western stuff, everything's really warm.
Yes.
And that's how I edit as well. So I think that helps.
Right.
But I've definitely had people that have a lot more blue tones and it's a lot more green and maybe even a little more wintry in terms of how they have everything styled, things like that. But I love editing blue as well.
Me too.
I love editing blue. It's So good.
I had a whole conversation actually with my client last night about this
Yeah.
because we took engagements at the lake and there's just so much blue because of the water and the sky and everything. And I get sad when I look at photos. I'm not hating, but like when I don't see blue, I'm like, where are you? Where are you
Yeah.
at? I mean, I do love a vintage vibe, but
I dig some blue jeans.
same, same. So, in terms of weddings, what would you say is like your favorite thing about weddings?
I love a reception.
Same.
Absolutely love a hype wedding reception. So we were talking about this in our little group chat that we have
Yes.
the other day. Someone asked what the widest lens is that they like to use. The moment I hit the reception, my 16 to 35 millimeter does not come off my camera. I just love it so much. Get like in the middle, the mix of everything. And there was one that I had this last year in like, I believe the wedding was in June, and there was a very young couple, still like in college age.
Okay.
And it was so hype. Their reception was so much fun. And I love it. Because I feel like leading up to all of the things of the day, there's just so much of a schedule.
Yeah.
So once you hit the reception, it's kind of
You
like,
can relax.
let's
a
just hang
little.
out, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's when like all the stress goes away and like people truly can enjoy themselves. And you can see it all over their face, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, you're saying reception's your favorite. What would be like, or what do you notice in weddings that you say, like, oh, this is a really good reception? Obviously, people are different. Some people are more mingly, and some people, you know. But do you think like props, or what do you think, how do you think that they have like, wow, this was an amazing reception?
The DJ and the bride's intention with her guests.
Amen.
So if you got a good DJ, then it's hard to not have a good party.
Yes.
And then wherever the bride is, her guests will be.
Yeah.
So if she is in the corner having to take pictures with everyone's phone, the dance floor is not going to be very full. If the bride is on the dance floor, that's where it is.
I think that's like the most, just how you put that is like the best way to put it.
I was gonna say, like, I literally haven't thought of it that way, but I was just thinking, I was like, honestly, yeah, when the bride is taking a bunch of pictures, which I get it, everyone wants their picture, but
Right.
you're right. Then everyone's kind of like migrates.
Yeah. And I'm like, girl, stay on the dance floor and I'll take your picture with my camera,
Yes.
like in the middle of the dance floor, in the middle of all the fun.
Yes. Like if you want your picture with the bride, just get on the
Yeah.
dance floor.
It's like
I
that's a
really,
really good like tidbit to
yes,
tell brides. or
not
couples.
to be like negative, but I really do hate when I feel like guests just constantly pull the couple all night long instead
Yep.
of letting them like enjoy everything. And I get it, like you want a photo with them, but like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I also always say, I'm like, are we going to print this picture out?
right?
Yeah.
Or is this gonna live and die on your phone?
Yeah.
Kind of like the same thing with pulling a phone out, like at the wedding ceremony. Like, why are you gonna print that and put that on your wall? I know you're not. So don't do that. Don't do that. So, okay, what has been the hardest thing about the wedding industry? Like in your opinion? Or just the industry as a whole?
Yeah, in general.
Just making sure that the expectations of everybody are understood.
Yes, that's good.
So I try my hardest to prepare ahead of time conversations with the bride and preparing of like the timeline, because I know not all photographers maybe create the timeline for their bride, but
Right.
I do.
I do too.
I do. Mainly because I want to know what's going on.
Yes.
Because a lot of times there could be, oh my goodness, there was one wedding that I did that it was a very important detail that I had no idea about. And it made a snappy comment come from one of the mothers and was really uncomfortable.
Right.
But the bride and the groom were in the normal places during the ceremony, but then the family was switched. I didn't know that ahead of time.
yeah.
No one told me.
Right.
I had set the timeline and done all the things, but I think having all of the details is so crucial
Oh,
Right.
because like
yes.
I got to know that important stuff, because whenever mom and dad are walking down the aisle together and they're going to sit down on the wrong side and I say something and they're like, that's not what she wanted. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that.
Right.
Right. And there's a fine line of like, you're trying to help. You're
Yeah.
thinking you're like, I'm helping out. You
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't have even thought to ask that though. Like,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I almost feel like it's not really our responsibility
No.
to ask
true.
that, because what are the odds that that happens? To me,
I know, it's
that's
pretty rare.
maybe 3 times a year, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I agree, like that open line of communication. And then I feel like when you're having to constantly pull, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like people also don't know, like, hey, my photographer needs to know that.
Yeah.
right. I mean, because
So-
it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. But it's just like, oh, that would have been nice to know ahead of time.
Exactly. So aside from wedding photography, we've already kind of talked about like your Western work. So in terms of like livestock rodeo, would you say like the shows where people are showing animals, do you prefer that, or would you prefer like just to shoot like rodeo all the time?
Well, they're very, very different worlds.
Right.
So the lady that I got that internship with back in 2018, whenever it was, 2017, her husband is an ag teacher,
Okay.
and she grew up showing cattle as well. And she is no longer a part of the company that was shooting the livestock shows back then. They've since separated and all that. So she's her own thing now.
Okay.
But I still work for her
Okay.
every year. So around where she lives, she has a lot of contracted places that hire her to come shoot. And I'm normally one of her contracted help.
Okay.
So I'll come do that. And that's normally in February,
Okay.
like the end of February, first like week of March, leading up to OYE, which is a big, one of the biggest livestock shows in the nation, if not the biggest.
Okay.
Oklahoma Youth Expo. So it's like
Gotcha.
the Super Bowl of livestock showing for
Okay,
the world of
okay.
Oklahoma. So I really only do that with her then.
Gotcha.
In years past, that's how I got started.
Okay.
I guess that's the world that I was in, but very quickly that's the world I was not a part of anymore. Just because there's a lot of times fair boards and people who are responsible to pay the photographer are not willing to pay, at least for the state of Arkansas.
Right.
It's really hard to get paid like
What
what
you
you should.
deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then as far as rodeo, I don't get paid to do that ever,
Okay.
if it's ever done. So in the world of rodeo, I hope I don't misspeak and say something incorrect, but from what I understand,
There you go.
there are some photographers who basically have like a membership with the PRCA,
Okay.
and they are like the PRCA photographer for that event, but they don't get paid by the PRCA. The only way that they make money is if people purchase their photos.
Wow.
That's
So they're kinda
nearly the
just
same
like,
world of livestock. Yeah.
yeah, hoping.
Yep. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a
Would have never known
it's
that.
a tough industry.
Okay.
And there's a lot of politics and all the things, just
I'm
like there
sure.
is in everything.
Right.
But I feel like if I'm going to get paid for something, then it's definitely got to be more in the livestock world, but it's still hard to get paid there.
Yeah.
So just in terms of the two versus each other, in terms of what I enjoy, I really enjoy doing the rodeo stuff for myself.
Right.
So it's not really getting paid by anybody. It's just for
You.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So, okay, we're like totally switching gears, like
'Kay, let's
all
do
the
it.
way 180.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about your passion for building community
Mm.
within the industry. And then I know that this kind of like ties into your workshops. So, we're just going to go for it. Like,
Yeah.
where did this like stem from that you wanted to kind of bring everybody together?
Yeah. Well, I was a part of a group chat on Instagram
Perfect.
that was created by Tori Egger Photo. Shout out. Tori, she's from Nebraska,
Okay.
and she does a lot of like Western world. We grew up showing hogs at national shows together and did some traveling to Arizona in like 2018. it might have been early 2019, I believe, actually. She added me to this group chat that she had made that was just a collection of photographers from maybe closer around her area, Nebraska.
Okay.
But it was kind of just basically like a hype or support group.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, but it made me sad that I knew that there were so many photographers around me that I did not know.
Right.
And I wanted to be their friend.
Yeah.
So just because that I felt out of place in that group chat, I believe I removed myself. This was years ago. But I talked to Bailey Brewer
Yep.
and because I had gotten to know her a little bit. We had worked together a little bit and was kind of building a friendship with her a little. And wanted to know her opinion about like making a group chat like that for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her what she thought. She was like, yeah, let's do it. And we made this little group chat and started adding people into it. And now, I mean, we've
so
got
many.
like 60 to 80 people in there,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Just from a lot, mostly around central Arkansas, but
Right.
like even stretching to northwest Arkansas and east Arkansas, things like that. But my intention behind it was because I had also been added to some group chats where there was a lot of expectations.
Yes.
They expect you to like every single photo that's ever shared, and
Comment.
you have to comment at least
before you can even
No
post
emojis.
yours.
five
Emojis
meaningful
allowed.
words. You can't
Yes.
only use emojis. You
Yes.
got to share it on your story. All this
Literally.
bull that
Literally.
I hated because I'm like, I don't know
Who has
these people.
Yeah.
Who has
I don't
time?
want. Who has time? Who cares?
Right.
If I like it and I want to support it and I want to like boast about it and be like, dang, this is good.
Right.
If it matters to me and my heart, then
Yes.
heck yeah, I'll share it. But you're not going to
Yes.
force me to do that. I'm out. Peace out.
I'm with you. I'm with
No,
you.
thank you.
I'm with
I
you.
don't have time to have a second job just keeping up with your feelings.
Yes.
Yes.
So I did not want there to be expectations held in this like group chat besides just being a kind human.
Exactly.
Like just be nice to each other and
Yes.
let's all make friends.
Yes.
So that group chat now is like pretty big. We got a lot of people in there. And what's so cool is people plan meetups and we plan
Yes.
style shoots and we get to hang out. And I just wanted to be able to have like a community of people who was in the same world as me, that we could share conversations and banter and advice.
Yes.
And I really am passionate about not being the smartest one in the room.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've been doing this for a while now. I know you've been doing it longer than me because you were the wedding photographer at one that I was a bridesmaid at
Yes.
years ago before I even like really got into it.
Yes.
So like we've been around a while, but there's still a lot I don't know.
I learn things.
I
would
love second
literally
shooting for
I
people
would say
still.
weekly.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cool thing I would say about our jobs is it's ever evolving.
Right.
Things never stay the same. Like, and that's one thing, like, I will openly admit about working for other people that I've always struggled with is it's wake up, go to work, do the same thing every single day, go home, repeat. And I did not want to live a life like that.
Yeah.
You know? And so I love that you said that you love that you're sometimes not the smartest person in the room. We all have room for growth, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, we can all take something away from somebody. So
Definitely. I love sharing my knowledge, but I'm not the only one that knows how to do stuff. And
But-
sometimes people do it better than I do.
I will say, like, if you're not in this group chat, you obviously wouldn't know. I will say Sarah probably, I would think, out of everyone, if someone asks a question, you take time out of your day.
you do though.
No, like truly, I can't even remember what question I asked you once, and you literally like went to your computer and was like doing all these
Showing.
things. Like, you probably took at least 10 minutes of your day
Yes.
that like you didn't owe anyone anything, but like you do that for everyone. Like I even remember someone was like, how do I edit a video? And you like did a whole tutorial in this group chat of like Photoshop, and you do this and this and this, and like people would gatekeep that and you never do, ever. So I
Yes.
think
And-
that's really cool.
I think that's just a lot of my heart behind the whole community thing. Like I've been around people and experienced people who gatekeep and who are very selfish with their knowledge and who are ugly about it. And I don't want to be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not like that.
No, not at all.
And I do not want to make people feel like that. So if it is not specifically something exclusive to me, then I'm going to share it.
Or
Right.
something that you may have learned from somebody else.
Absolutely.
I will be the first person to share all day long. And I feel like a lot of outsiders looking in, they don't realize like how much, I guess, animosity would be the word there is kind of in our industry, like how much people gatekeep or,
Yeah.
you know, they're not willing to share or whatever. Like if somebody messages me and they're like, what presets do you edit with? I'm like, here you go. I edit with Maston, everybody. I edit with Maston. So like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't create this. I'm
Right.
not gonna.
I think it's like a fear of, oh, they're going to get my clients, or, oh, they're going to be better than me, you know, which
Yep.
You know how many people there are in the world?
Literally billions.
how many clients?
You know how many days I have to do stuff?
Right.
Not
Like,
that many.
Not that many.
Right.
No.
But I think a lot of it is just wanting to be a kind human that people have showed me kindness. And that's just part of how I am.
I love it. So now, like transitioning into like the workshop thing. So how did that come to be?
Man, it's been really cool.
I
So
love it.
I went to school to be an educator,
Right?
and I have a heart to teach. I love sharing knowledge.
Yes.
And now I get to do it with photography,
Right.
which is something that I love and that I enjoy, and that's freaking cool.
Yes.
I guess there was this push and this encouraging from a couple friends of mine to, I guess, monetize on that a little bit and make it to where it was the community plus the education.
Right.
So not just being in a group chat, but basically facilitating an opportunity for people to, I guess, make friends and just learn all that they can. Brooke Bradford she's from Clinton. She does the Pink Party Co. stuff, like the party planning, all of that. She does like wedding planning and things. And she had reached out to me because I had shared like here and there about doing mentorships and maybe like wanting to do a workshop one day. And she reached out and was like, hey, I want to help you make it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah. So basically, we had this model, this plan of I would take care of the education and she would take care of the design and the models and I guess the vibe of it.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a brief pause in the episode to tell you thank you for supporting our podcast. It would mean the world to us if you could subscribe to whatever platform you are listening on. Let's get back to the episode.
So Brooke was wanting to help promote her boyfriend's family's brand new venue,
Perfect.
and we wanted to host it there. And the first one that we did, I might have my numbers wrong, but I think we had maybe like 16 attendees.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I remember seeing and being
was a
like,
lot.
holy cow.
We did a lot.
Yes.
There was a bunch of models, a bunch of things to do, and I was very thankful for that one. It was awesome. I think it was really good for helping with the community with a lot of people because most of them were brand new
Wow.
and don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
So this workshop was like, I don't know how to shoot in manual. We're going to learn it right now. So it was a lot of hands-on teaching them how to use their equipment and then basically giving them opportunities to like build their portfolio.
That is awesome.
And then they also made friends.
That is awesome.
So it was really, really good. And then the next one, once again, was a venue that was pretty brand new. I think at the time they had maybe only done 1 or 2 weddings. The Oaf family, Bar Oaf Ranch in Clinton, they do the wagon races and very Western, very all the things in the Western world. The wedding venue is brand new and it's like right on the river and it's really cool and they just didn't really have any promotion or anything yet. So that's where Brooke is from. It was in
Okay.
Clinton and family friend. We both know Dapple, the owner. Love you, girl. So it was really cool. But we did refine a lot of our numbers for this one because while the first one was incredible, I was stretched really thin.
Right.
Because I had responsibility to get photos for the vendors that we had worked with, and they were expecting photos from me and all this other stuff. But as soon as the hour of class was over, I was helping a lot of them hands-on with their camera, and I hardly got an opportunity to shoot.
Right.
So I had to be really intentional with my time. And we learned that for the next one, maybe we don't need that many numbers.
Right.
So I think we had maybe like 6 or 7 at the next one. And it was perfect because I got really, really good one-on-one time with the ones that needed it. And then there was just a lot more freedom for them to not have to like shoot over the top of people's heads.
Yes.
And all of that. I think the first one was a great experience for a lot of them to experience like a styled shoot.
Yeah.
Right.
Because styled shoots can be cutthroat.
Oh no,
Oh my
they
gosh.
straight up. That's
They
why I
are
do not participate.
cutthroat, man.
I don't participate. Yeah. Yep.
So I think it was good for them to have that experience. But then at this other one, I had maybe 1 or 2 return people who went to the first, and then they also came to the second one. And it was a lot better of an experience for them to actually like get the photos that they
Good.
were looking for and have the opportunity to not have like the corner of a head in their shot.
It really is. I mean, yeah. And I've been to a styled shoot where like photographer like just left because she just felt like it was too much. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
She was like, this is too much. This is too chaotic.
Yeah.
And I'm like scared of like conflict. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a confrontation person, so I would have been the one at the back. Like it's okay, you go ahead. You know?
That was 80% of there was definitely maybe 1 or 2 of the attendees that were being a little
aggressive.
selfish
Yeah.
and not getting out of the way.
Right.
I had to keep being like, get your shot and move.
Right.
But I think that was a good experience all around for us as hosts, but then also the attendees. I think it was really good.
Got to start somewhere, you know.
That's right.
Well,
yeah.
And I don't think outsiders looking in understand how much time, just time alone, you put into it before and during and even after. But
Yep.
then also even like resources, money, I mean, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, I'm just making a ton of money off of everyone. Like,
Right.
It's all going back into what you're doing.
Yeah, because we did have to compensate the venue and pay them for
Right.
using their facility. And then, like, if you hire a florist, that's one of the hardest things about a styled shoot is the flowers.
Yes.
That's like almost the only thing that actually has a purchase value to it on top of time
right.
to
And
like put
flowers-
it together.
Flowers are not cheap.
No, they are not.
And even if like a florist is like, I want to be part of this, and they just charge you baseline of like
What
it is, what they
Right.
have in it, it's still
It's
expensive.
still pretty substantial.
Yeah. Yeah. It's things that people really don't know about.
No.
Yeah.
So is this something you're wanting to do on a grand scale? Like, could you see yourself like traveling? Like, you know, there's those people that they travel all across the United States and they put on these workshops. Like,
Right.
do you potentially see yourself doing the same thing?
I don't really know. I'm really trying to be patient and pray about it and make sure that I'm not jumping into something that is going to fail because I can't fully commit
Right.
and not be successful with
Look
it.
at you. That's awesome.
So I am getting to attend a style shoot in Iceland this August.
Do what?
That's going to be
Yes.
so good.
So like the last week of August, I believe it's with Elope Academy. Is who it's through.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm getting to go on the Iceland shoot. So I think that would be a
Amazing.
really good experience
Yeah.
for like figuring that out
Yeah.
on like the big scale stuff. Cause I don't really know what that looks like.
Right.
Because for me as an attendee, I'm having to pay for my shoot ticket, but also that the flight cost is insane.
like thousands.
Yes, it's dumb. So I don't know what the practicality is of like the numbers
Right.
behind all of that.
Right.
So I'm not rushing into anything at all.
Right.
I definitely think that there's a lot more I need to learn, and I need to be more intentional about preparing and all of that.
Because I know even just like preparing for this on the back end,
It's so much.
Well, and we've had a couple people, so like, have you recorded? Like, do you know what you're doing? Essentially, is what it feels like we're being asked. And we're like, yes. And a lot of people think that, oh, we're just going to jump in and do it. I mean, we
literally did not announce until we already had all of our episodes recorded.
Because I was like, I'm not going to announce this.
Yeah.
And then it fizzles out, or we
Yeah.
realize this, we're in over our heads or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can completely relate to that.
Right.
Well, and that's smart because word of mouth and like that is so big. So imagine if someone just like, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
in Montana or wherever, and then it like fails, and then
I've
that's
seen
your
it.
reputation and your
Which
name.
I've co-hosted a few of shoots. They've been like the Western styled shoots and stuff. So I've been a co-host a few times at places like in Montana. We've gone to Montana before, and then done maybe one or two in Arizona before. But where I'm the host and it's only me, I don't know that I'm prepared for that.
Right.
Right.
So if I do, it's probably a little bit in the future.
Yeah. That's good though.
Yeah.
That you're like,
I'm not trying to rush it.
right.
Right.
I want to learn and prepare and make sure that this is something that, one, I feel like the Lord is leading me to do, because
Exactly.
that is a huge part of all of this.
Right.
One thing that I've loved is that Brooke named everything Called to Create. Man, I think that just perfectly encompasses it.
Yeah.
Of like, I am called to this. This is something that the Lord has laid on my heart, and He is empowering me with my talent, with my knowledge, with my time, and the resources to make this happen.
Amen.
And I'm going to honor Him with that.
I love it.
So at both styled shoots, I've been very intentional about including God into it.
That's amazing.
So not to like veer off, but
Yeah.
that is actually one of our
Yeah.
guest questions. Haley Nicole Dudley asked. She
Oh,
said,
I love Haley.
she said, love her. Does she find it hard to keep her faith so strong while so busy? So proud of her.
That's a really good question, Haley. I've had to slow down a lot. I've been reading this book. I'm not a reader. I am not a good reader. I don't read. The most I read is my Bible. And then it's only a few verses or a chapter at a time. Like I'm not a heavy reader. But there is a book that I've been reading called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
I've read that 3 times.
Yo, it's
So good.
So good.
Like every year I'm like, it's just a yearly thing. I have to
My
like remind
gosh.
myself.
That book has changed my life. It has shifted my perspective of what matters.
Yeah.
Like so much.
I really can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. For a long time, I say a long time, the last maybe 3 years, I have this practice that I put into place of I do not work on Sundays or Wednesdays. Wednesday is my day off. And back then, before I really understood what the word Sabbath meant, I would call Wednesday my Sabbath day, which in my head back then, it was just like a day that I wasn't shooting. I was still running errands or catching up on editing, or it was like a backup day that I knew every single Wednesday of the year I had blocked out that we could do for a reschedule day. Basically, Wednesday was like my day off, and I called it a Sabbath. But then I actually learned what Sabbath meant. And I was like, okay, Wednesday is not a Sabbath. It's just an off day.
Right.
Or it's your filler day if you like.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. So I've kind of, since reading that book, I've kind of shifted my perspective of that and decided that Sunday is my Sabbath. That is the day that I'm going to slow the heck down. I'm going to enjoy time with my family, and I'm going to go to church, and I'm going to be with my community and with my people, and just thank God for everything that He has done in my life. And then still have Wednesday as an off day so that I can slow down and I'm really getting out of this like hustle,
Same.
chasing after it.
same.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Same.
It's pointless.
It's the most, I don't even know the right word. Why is it crammed down our throats? They're like, you're not successful if you're not literally driving yourself crazy.
Yeah.
It is the most toxic,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, mindset that you can be in. And I too, and I could get emotional talking about it, like in the last 6 months have really, like, what's important in life?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Is like building this huge empire. Like, is it really that important? Like, at the end of the day, like when I go to heaven, does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so I can totally relate. That is also something I'm trying to implement in my life,
Mm-hmm.
just because, you know, I could go 3 days at a time without seeing my kids, and they're like, "Mom, where are you?" You know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, it's not that important.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Well, I think so to go back to Haley's question, I'm trying to be really intentional about not rushing God.
Love it.
I am slowing down and actually giving him the time of day.
Yeah.
Because if I'm chasing after the world and chasing after what the world says is important, it's the opposite direction of God.
Amen.
Yeah.
So
It's not quiet. It's not still. It's not.
not
yeah.
at all.
No.
Not at all. There's so much noise. Oh my gosh. It is so hard for me to not have noise. Like, even if I'm putting on my makeup or
Yes.
like curling my hair this morning, like I
guilty.
did, I have to have music going.
Yeah.
Even if it's worship music, but it's
Yes.
still music. It's still noise. It's like I'm never allowing myself to hear anything from the Lord because it's always going. It's always full. So I think to keep my faith strong, I have to be intentional. I've never really been one to, for the longest time, I felt like it was so churchy and so cheesy to be like, God, give me a word for the year. Like, that's such a churchy thing. But then in the last few months, we've started going to a church that is so heavy on being intentional. And they're big on like having a purpose and a goal of, I'm going to be intentional with asking God what he wants me to do.
I love it.
And I finally did the like, all right, Lord, give me a word that I can kind of focus my life on. What is your goal for, what do you want from me? What can I do to better the kingdom? And I felt like the word that he gave me was rest. And I've been having a lot of different versions of that word through my life recently. I've learned that rest is not lazy. No. Rest is necessary.
Yes.
And I think in order to keep my faith and to keep myself from not going crazy and worrying about the things that don't matter, I have to rest.
Yes.
Which is literally the opposite of what the world says.
Absolutely. It's the complete opposite.
So do you feel like, do you ever have like conflicting feelings? Like when you first started like going down this road of rest, like did you feel so torn and so conflicted?
No.
I love that.
It felt so good. It felt so right.
Okay.
And it was definitely a godsend of, we all know that there's a slow season in photography and it is the winter.
Yes.
And I absolutely hated the winter, January, February, because I didn't make any money.
Right.
I'm like, I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my truck payment. I got to do all this stuff. And I'm having no income. God, where are you? And the latter half of December, all of January, nearly all of February, until I started doing those livestock shows with Stacy out of Oklahoma at the end of February, was so slow. Like I had nothing to do. It was nothing. And I think God took everything off my plate so that I could have a redirection to actually see him. I'm not looking over here at everything else in the world.
Right.
There's nothing to look at over here. He took everything away.
Yes.
It's empty right now. So where
Yes.
else am I going to look? Wow, there he is.
Right.
So I think he really blessed my life and my spirit with rest by not giving me work.
Yeah.
And it gave me the opportunity to be really intentional with him and pick up my Bible and pray and journal and do all these things that I never had time for
Right.
because I was always hustling so hard.
Right. And what a crazy concept, right?
Yeah.
And like, there are people that would have lost their minds, and I think that's so cool that you just trusted him,
Mm-hmm. I think it's just me being okay
Yeah.
with not hustling.
Yeah.
And that's called faith because I
Amen.
was not making any money, like was struggling, had
Right.
no income for
Right.
2 months.
Right.
And I had to be like, I got $87 in my bank account, but Lord, you gonna take care of me.
Yes. Yes.
Like that was a being intentional and forcing myself, deciding that I'm gonna trust him
Right.
because it's not on me.
Right.
It's not my responsibility.
Right.
I can't do it. I have to trust him to do it.
I love it.
And I can't trust him to do it unless I step out of the way.
You're so right.
And I feel you also answered, and someone anonymously
Anonymously?
Yes.
asked, has she ever felt burnt out and how does she deal with it? Which honestly, I feel like you're just kind of answered.
There's definitely, honestly, it's really hard for me to edit weddings because I crank out the previews so fast and then life gets busy in between the turnaround time and then the week of I gotta kill myself to get it done. I like crank out the entire wedding in 3 days because I put it off the whole time.
Right.
And that causes a lot of the like exhaustion and burnout and all of that.
And even like resentment towards yourself. Like, why did I do this
Right.
to myself?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think if I rest and am more intentional with my time and am not trying to fill it with nonsense, I'll have more time for the things that I need to do. And it'll make it to where that burnout doesn't come as easy because my job isn't up here. God is up here. The job is down here.
Yep.
And whenever he is up here, there is rest and there is peace. Whenever the job is up here, there is stress and hustle and push, and it's exhausting and you burn out.
Yeah.
So my job is not above him anymore.
Right.
And that has really helped me with not experience such heavy exhaustion and burnout.
I love it.
I feel like this episode has been
Amazing.
like, I feel like we'd have a part 2, part 3, part 4.
Literally.
Like,
I'm not mad about it though.
I talk a lot. Sorry, guys.
No.
No.
I love it.
like I love everything. Do you want to kind of wrap up and end it with just like the pre-wedding snack post?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like I'm pretty well known for my pre-wedding and post-wedding thing because I post about it. So my pre-wedding thing, sour candy and Red Bull. My post-wedding thing, Taco Bell. Like when my husband helped me do receipts for taxes, he was like, Sydney, Taco Bell could literally sponsor you.
No, it's like
I'm not
you need to like
kidding.
go get stock
Y'all,
in
this
Taco
is
Bell.
embarrassing. I spent $1,000 on Taco Bell last year. $1,000.
That's a lot considering like
That is a lot. Now I will say their prices have gone up a lot. So not all my fault. But I'm gone a lot.
you are.
And they have a vegetarian meal. And I don't feel as bad if I'm eating beans versus, a burger. So that's how I, justify. So, Sarah, what is your pre-wedding or pre-session snack? And then if you do like a wedding day snack, she raises it right up. And I think if you follow her,
Yeah.
You know I love my Think coffee.
That's right. And then do you have like a favorite on the road, like this is my snack or this is my meal?
Well, I really do like this coffee, but I also have like I don't know the brand name. I think it's called chomps. It's just like the little meat sticks.
Yes.
My favorite,
It's like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, I love
But
it.
I only like the beef. I don't like
I only like the blue
yeah.
one.
Oh, the blue? Which one is that?
It's
the venison
just like the sea salt beef. It's not the like original, not the jalapeno.
Yes.
The like, I think I actually have like a couple of them in my car because it's like just my on the go, little protein stick.
Yeah.
Yes. I really like that. And if I don't have a coffee, I'll have a Celsius.
Okay.
I really like the orange Celsius. That's my go-to, I think.
Okay.
But then after the wedding, not because it's my favorite, but I feel like most of the time I always get McDonald's on the way home.
Okay, but what do you get?
I get a McChicken, no lettuce, add bacon, with a medium fry and 3 plain hamburger patties, no bun, just the meat patty.
That is so specific.
It is.
I love it.
Because so having PCOS and it being an insulin resistant disease and not wanting to consume tons of bread, I still want to have like meat and protein.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, the little meat patties at McDonald's, just like the salt and pepper and like the little burger. It's so good.
Listen, put it
so
on
good.
your McChicken. Put it on your McChicken. Thank me later.
All right, a McBurger.
Pretty much. But I'm just saying, thank me later. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, yeah, a chicken burger.
Okay, so anything else before we wrap it up? She's thinking.
I was. Oh, so okay. At a reception, do you eat cake since you love reception, or do you?
I'm more of a brownie and cheesecake person than I am a cake person. And with the cake person, I'm more of an icing person than a cake person.
Are you? See, I'm the
Just
opposite.
me personally.
I'm the
I
opposite.
don't know.
Well, I will say it depends on the icing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Have you had sweet lavender bakes?
No.
Oh my goodness. Shout out her. Never even met you. Don't even know your first name. But your icing is fire. Melt in your
That's
mouth.
really good.
Melt in your mouth. So
All right. So tell the listeners where they can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sarah Caldwell Photo. They're the same handle. I have a TikTok, but it's really just my personal, so I don't really do anything with it. I think it's just like Sarah A. Henry.
love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's it.
I think
Thank
that's
you
it.
for coming
Yeah.
on.
Thank you for having me. This is such an honor. I'm so
I know.
excited.
You're gonna have to come back.
real?
Maybe after
would love
Iceland.
to.
Give us like all the.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
let's do
happening.
it. Let's
it's
do it.
happening. It's
I'm down.
happening. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
See you later. Bye.
As we finish this episode, we want to say a big thank you to all of the support on our podcast. You can find us at Black Tie Opt Podcast. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast.